Tonight, we go out and play with a Nissan GT-R, play golf and hide and seek with a flying tiger. Welcome to Top Gear Australia. Now, as you know, my favourite stories are the ones that put Warren in harm's way. Well, tonight's challenge is even better. Steve's in harm's way as well.
I'm usually up for anything, but when Steve said to me he wanted me to give him a hand to play hide and seek with a tiger, I had second thoughts.
Yeah, well, that's all right, because all I needed was the use of the Army's secret testing facility and the use of Subaru's latest weapon.
If the objective isn't clear, the mission will fail. It's the mantra of any great military mind or automotive designer. That's the difference between victory and defeat, whether it be on the battlefield or the dealership floor. For more than a decade, the Subaru WRX STI has been the weapon of choice of rally champions and ram raiders. It used to be a raw, take-no-prisoners road warrior. But today, its former focus is missing in action. And in its place is this. Wider and lower than earlier STIs, this 2.5 litre turbocharged flat 4 is armed with 221 kilowatts and a top speed of 250 k's an hour. But despite the impressive numbers, the sharp edge that personified previous STIs has gone AWOL. I'll show you a really quick change of direction here. Turn, way, understeer. See, I'm just going straight off the road. The back doesn't want to come round. And even if I muck around with this diff, understeer. Third gear, busy. Fourth gear. Let's try this bump. Hey! Let's try a big lift off. Go. Nah, just understeer. Just shocking. Rally cars are meant to oversteer. What's with this thing? See, this is normally a second gear corner in most cars, but I'm in third because it's such a close ratio short gearbox in this thing. I suppose having so much lag means that it just begs to be driven hard. Just phenomenal grip that's almost impossible to unstick. Brakes are pretty good too, actually. They look good. They've got these lovely big black STI calipers on it, and they actually do the job all right. I'm going up and down this runway, pounding the absolute hell out of them, and they're doing all right. I don't smell anything. Pretty good communication back to the driver. The problem is, though, is that massive understeer. In an attempt to help the car from understeering off the face of the earth, Subaru has added a computer-controlled centre differential. I can't pick it. Look, on full rear, full front, sport, sharp, intelligent, manual auto, you name it. I've even pressed the cappuccino button and it did nothing. The design of this car has been influenced by former World Rally champ Petter Solberg, who wanted a long wheelbase, short overhang car to compete against the all-conquering Citroën of Sébastien Loeb. For me, though, the greatest travesty of this car is that it's lost its distinctive Subaru note. It's actually quite civilised like the rest of the car. What Subaru has come up with, though, is a better road car. The new STI is sedate, quiet and comfortable, and quite frankly, it's a bit of a pussycat. Which brings me to this. This is the Tiger armed reconnaissance helicopter and the Challenger for my little WRX. It's armed with 52 rockets, 8 Hellfire missiles and a 30mm cannon, and uses thermal and laser imaging to track and destroy its targets. All we know is that this is one mean cat, and so are the guys flying it. The Army has assigned 2 of its best for a challenge. Just outside the perimeter of the Oki Army Aviation Base is the Lima 5 training area. About 45 kilometres away, there's a high hill that overlooks Lima 5, with several roads that lead to it. So we decided to return the STI to its rally routes by hitting the dirt and getting us up the hill, without being mauled by the tiger. Now, 2 against 1 is never a fair fight, so I had to enlist my own battle captain. Enter Lieutenant Colonel Wrongway Brown. The tiger is going to take 30 minutes to start up and go, and that gives us a much needed head start.
Later, flyboard.
Okay, checklist. Hatches, harnesses.
Just hang on. Think of it as a game of cat and mouse.
So, 2 teams locked in battle. One in a big, ugly, dangerous weapon, the other in a helicopter. Who will prevail? Don't ask me. All I know is, time for the news.
Well, boys, they've just recently unveiled a statue of the late, great Peter Brock at Bathurst. It's a bronze statue. They've just commissioned it, and there it is there.
Yeah, good thing too, rightly so.
Exactly right. It's at the National Motor Racing Museum, so it's the right place for such a thing, I think. But there's been a fair bit of controversy around this statue. First of all was the choice of the car. They didn't know what car to actually honour him with, and they've gone for this, the VK.
And why is that?
Well, apparently, Brocky thought this was his favourite race car. So of all his 9 victories, that was it. So it was the 84.
Yeah, he was at top of his game then too.
Exactly right. And controversy also around the livery. Back then you could have cigarette advertising. They didn't know whether they wanted to run with that for the memorial. Thankfully they did. They've kept to the original. But the real controversy is around the fact that Brocky himself standing on the roof of the car, he never did that after he won.
Oh, please. Does it matter? I mean, where else is he going to stand? In the dirt?
Well, you could have, on the ground, and you could put your arm around Brocky, take photos of him as you did that sort of thing.
Or the window halfway down, his elbow out the window.
Yeah, that's
Start arming it, yeah.
And speaking of things arty, if I mentioned the term Citroën and the artist and the painter and sculptor Pablo Picasso in the one sentence, what do you think they would have in common?
Nothing.
Bugger all.
Well, you're absolutely right, because they're both an acquired taste that I don't really understand. However, Citroën has brought out this. This is called the Citroën Picasso. It's a people mover.
Yeah, for what they are, they're a very good thing.
Yeah.
It's a French Tarago.
That's exactly right. Now, an artist in England, a bloke called Andy Saunders, has decided not to make the Citroën Picasso, but this Picasso's Citroën. Look at this, a wonderful cubist design based on the Citroën 2CV, which incidentally is having its 60th anniversary this year. But I thought, why should Citroën stop there just with Picasso? Why don't they make some other cars like this? The Citroën, the Citroën Da Vinci. They could make this, the Citroën Ken Doane. Or they could make this, the Citroën Andy Warhol, which I think is a rather nice touch.
Thank God you didn't design the Brock statue. That's all I can say, mate. Now, boys, Big Brother is coming. I'm talking about Intelligent Speed Adaptation, ISA for short. They're starting to trial it in Wollongong, and they're going to test it elsewhere.
Yeah, that's actually going to run in Victoria and West Australia as well as trials. And this is a system whereby you get GPS information, a bit like you do ordinarily with SatNav, and it'll tell you what speed is of the road that you're currently on. So, as you switch from one area to another, it'll actually warn you that you've gone from a different speed zone. Now, I think this is a really good idea. Here in Australia, I think we change speed too often on the same bit of road. God forbid, going through a school zone, you've got to, it's 2:30, you've got to back off. So this is actually quite a good setup.
However, there is a sinister element to this, gentlemen, I'm telling you. 40 of the cars in that Wollongong test go further than just giving you the information. They control the car. Have a look at this. Speedo says 70, but it says 60. There's your prosthetic limb pushing very hard on the accelerator, but the computer says no, slows you down, cuts the fuel down, backs off the pace, and it's all over. Hello.
There's some complications I can see with this. I mean, imagine when you're needing to overtake a semi-trailer and this cuts in and the screen comes up and says, I can't let you do that, Dave. And then all of a sudden, bang, it's all over.
Well, the other big issue is that GPS isn't the most accurate system, as we found out a few weeks ago in the Kimberley. I mean, you've got problems whereby, you don't know what road you're on. If there's a side road that's 50 k's an hour, and of course, there's a highway going 100 k's an hour, and it can be just slightly out, and all of a sudden you're on the 100k road, it'll say, no, can't